Doom doodly doom doom doom. Con! The rest of the world hates us right now. Or at the very least, they think us idiots. They will suffer too, because American exceptionalism and jingoism destroys people around the world time and time again throughout history. First our enemies, then our dependents and our allies. It's a pity they weren't able to vote in this election. It would have turned out very differently. And plus, they have almost as much stake in the consequences as we do. Oh, and I should clarify, everyone hates us right now, except the Kremlin. They're very happy with us. They haven't had a laugh like this in years, not to mention the influence they've gained on US internal policy. They're laughing their asses off because they played us like a Cossack's fiddle and suffered no consequences for it. And I'm no conspiracy nut, but I can only speculate on what their next move will be. But if they help to elect a man who's so cavalier about nuclear weapon use in the 21st century, I think I can safely predict that their designs do not include American prosperity or world peace. Pro. Seeing as Donald Trump is and promises to be one of our most public presidents yet, there's a good chance that when the full extent of his corruption is revealed, it'll be revealed on such a massive scale that neither he nor his party will be able to cover up the evidence or their culpability. And from the looks of things, it's going to happen very, very soon. God. The planet will suffer. Not just the people, but the planet itself. There is nothing about either Trump's agenda or the Republican Party platform that either begins to address or even acknowledge the reality and escalating direness of climate change. The new EPA administrator denies the scientific consensus of CO2 being a major contributor to global climate change, and the Republican majority has plans to scrap the entire agency in the near future. My only hope is that Europe takes the mantle and that China keeps its word out of sympathy for our national nervous breakdown. And that they can go on to make progress without us, while our progress mechanism is lying on the floor, spasming, seizing, and choking on its own drool. Pro. Defeatism is not an actionable position, and hope is a less limited resource than we all realize. If you are someone who has suffered, and you realize how much you have suffered, and you realize that in some respects the suffering was temporary, it's the first step to discovering how to solve a problem, realizing that it can be solved. Hope should never be enough, but it is necessary. The world may be broken, but hope is not crazy. How do I know? I have faith. Yes, I am a man of science, believing first in what I can see, and then in what follows logically from there. But I also believe in things that aren't as obvious or measurable, like the human spirit. And there is a power within hope and belief. They change things. They change the world. And if we harness them, so can we, for the better. If I have a faith in something that I can't see, it's in the power of hope to drive change. And as long as we need change, we need to keep our hope. God! The atmosphere that Trump created with his candidacy justified and encouraged a fundamental lack of respect in the discourse. To speak plainly, people never needed to be encouraged to be assholes to one another, but that's exactly what we've done. We've elected the most manipulative and malicious bully to ever graze the constellation of our political candidates in recent years. His language, attitude, and behaviors legitimize misogyny and rape culture, racism for the sake of comfortable scapegoating, repression of basic human rights, and so much more. So if you thought YouTube and Facebook comments were bad before, just wait and see what happens when the president is a person who uses the same horrific language and irrefutable logic in the bloody presidential debates. Bro! In regards to the dumbing down and nastying up of social political discourse, particularly on the internet, we might just have enough tools, right now, to start to solve the problem. It is by no means a perfect system, but from now on, when you see someone being threatening, disrespectful, and/or abusive on a public forum, report their comment, delete or hide it, but also share what you're experiencing with the world. Share your outrage. A caveat though, this can only work if we're all honest about it, so a few guidelines for your consideration. 1. Someone disagreeing with your point of view is not grounds for censorship. The point here is not to police the ideas that are expressed, but mainly the way in which they are expressed. For example, I recently commented with a positive, encouraging message on a video by a sex-positive YouTube educator. Some of the responses my comment got were, and I quote, "Are you retarded? Go kill yourself," and simply, "faggot." I apologize to sensitive viewers out there, but you need to know what we face. And please believe me when I tell you that the responses my comment got were microbes compared to the threats, false accusations, and abuse that YouTuber herself has received on that video, not to mention her other videos and her Facebook posts. So far as I can tell, people deliberately follow this person on the internet despite not liking or respecting her, simply to post disrespectful, demeaning, dehumanizing, and downright criminal comments on her media at every turn. In real life, that'd be called abusive stalking. It's a crime. Let me be absolutely crystal clear. Telling someone to kill themselves on a public anonymous forum is not expressing your First Amendment right. It is a threat. Are you retarded and faggot are not only abuse, they are forms of hate speech. Do they hurt me? Only slightly, but certainly far less than they hurt other individuals, society at large, and the state of the discourse. I know unproductive might be the least likely adjective to come to your mind if I were to ask you to describe those comments, but at the very least they are that. Calling me faggot does not help anyone. It's an ego-boosting tactic by a commenter who gets to think that he or she has power over another person. Being the masked executioner who gets to deliver a shock to people, damaging their self-confidence and perhaps causing them to fear for their life and safety. At best, the issue doesn't get discussed. At worst, it is a crime, and one that law enforcement seems utterly incompetent at handling at present time. So we have to be our own police. Be the neighborhood watch for the internet. Respectful discussion of an issue does not involve threats or name-calling, and if it has, apologies are in order. One-line insults or comments that start out with one are not worthy of being seen by people. They are neither useful nor courteous and should be vigorously discouraged. 2. Part of this policing involves self-policing. That's exactly the point here. I don't like censorship, but I strongly encourage self-censorship. This may sound weird, but before 2016, if you spoke about a serious issue in the manner of a teenager playing Call of Duty on Xbox Live, you were rightfully not considered an adult, or worthy of any trust or admiration in the real world. I suggest we continue to try to teach the world that lesson. If you get into a heated argument and stoop to insulting someone, especially criticizing someone for who they are instead of what they do or what they believe, own up and apologize. Don't give your opponent a reason to shut you out of the debate. Take breaks, take breathers. Listen instead of just speaking. Critically evaluate evidence if you can, and if there is none, ask for it and see if it holds up. Be honest with yourself and with others about how you feel, but use your words, not your insults. It is my duty to warn you that if you embark on this mission with me, we will be pioneers together. The infrastructure does not yet exist for this kind of thing to be normalized. Reporting comments on Facebook is extremely unreliable. In fact, on a post by that same YouTuber on Facebook, I once reported a comment. One that was left several times by the same person on the same post, accusing that sex-positive YouTube educator of raping him. When I reported this comment, Facebook informed me that this did not violate their policies. They did not consider this comment to be harassment or abuse. I thought that was a reasonable claim. These comments were repeated, baseless accusations of a horrifying and disturbing nature. Facebook didn't give a shit. On YouTube, my experience has been slightly better. You report something as abuse, and it becomes invisible, though conditions may apply. Also, the Vlogbrothers came up with a neat way of tricking the YouTube popularity algorithm into rewarding good behavior. YouTube's algorithm treats all replies to comments as positive attention, elevating the visibility of comments with a lot of replies, often causing the most negative, controversial, trolly comments to get top billing. But the Nerdfighteria community came up with a way to game the system and use this to our advantage. Instead of just liking a comment, reply to it with a plus sign. Not only is this a symbolic gesture, but it's just one small way we can make life on the internet better and more productive. So why try doing this at all? Because Facebook and YouTube are popular enough to foster opportunities for both respectful discourse and, shall we say, unproductive threats and shaming. We owe it to our nation and the world, whenever we have the energy or fortitude, to tip the balance back toward kindness and polite discussion. Flag, report, and spam block when you feel that a comment is threatening or abusive. Honest disagreement isn't worth this. Hate speech and intimidation are. Why do this? For the same reason you tell the principal about the bully in school. It doesn't make you a tattletale, it makes you willing to prevent yourself and others from being hurt. There's no shame in that. And just because it can be heartbreakingly hard to accept sometimes, I will say it again. There is no shame in taking action to reduce your own pain, or the pain of others. You do not deserve to be hurt. And they do deserve to know that they are hurting people. So if you can afford to, take the time. We all benefit from teaching bullies that they do not speak for us, and that they shouldn't speak that way at all.